Sir, could you test once your PPT? If you have the PPT, could you test? Please share once.
Okay, sir. Okay. Sir, are you getting?
Yeah, it's okay, sir.
It's okay, sir.
Right.
From Dr. Seturaman.
Srinivasulu, welcome. The professor and head of the electronic wing. Our EA faculty.
Good morning, sirs. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Yeah. Madam, shall we start?
I think have we got at least 40%? 40% of registrations have come?
Total 71 joined, madam, right now.
280 relations.
So 1/4.
Started better. Welcome, sir.
Dr. Seturaman, how are you? Good afternoon. Seturaman.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Myself, Vidya Abhinandana, Bapatla Agriculture
Okay.
College. Once I spoke to you over phone.
Sir.
Srinivas Raju, sir. Srinivas Raju, sir. ఇప్పుడు మనకి రిజిస్ట్రేషన్ అయిన వాళ్ళు కాకుండా ఇక్కడ ఇప్పుడు ఎంటర్ అయ్యారు కదా రూమ్ కి ఈ లిస్ట్ మనకు దొరుకుతుంది కదా
ఈ లిస్ట్ దొరుకుతుంది మేడం వస్తుంది
ఓకే సార్ రైట్
Students are join 21 batch students, 21 batch extension students. I hope all of you join. Anyone please respond?
Yes, sir. We have joined, sir.
Okay, good.
A very happy new year 2022. It's a moment of great pleasure to me to welcome all the delegates belonging to Society of Extension Professionals to this webinar. As promised by us during the ad hoc committee meeting that was held last month, that we will keep SEP body dynamic, we stood on our words and started this webinar. And in future months also, a series of webinars, brainstorming sessions, lectures, etc. follow. They will be organized under SEP. On behalf of Extension Education Institute, Hyderabad, I welcome today's speaker, Dr. P. Seturaman Sivakumar, sir, who is working as Principal Scientist at Central Tuber Research Institute, CTCRI, Trivandrum, Kerala, to this webinar. And I sincerely request him to share his experiences and clarify all our doubts on the topic, emerging approaches and trends in extension research, a social change perspective. Thank you so much, sir, invitation and joining online for the webinar. I wish your interaction enlighten us, all of us, on approaches to deal with problems in extension research. I also welcome Dr. V. Sudharani Madam, our Dynamic Director of Extension, PJTSAU, for this webinar. Before start of this webinar, Madam, we would like to once again hear from you, your innovative ideas and also your future vision as the head of the entire extension fraternity in Telangana state. And I extend my warm greetings and for the other delegates, Dr. J.V. Prasad sir, Atari Zone 10 Director also will be joining shortly for this webinar. And without wasting much of the time on these welcome words, I quickly invite all the retired stalwarts and also delegates who are in service, heads of the departments, institutions, KVKs, data centers, and scientists, teachers and students of extension belonging to Pan India. Just for the sake of your information, I would like to just throw some light. Many participants from TNAU, then Kerala, US, Bangalore, Dharwad, then Karnataka, Bihar, Delhi, Raipur, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, Meghalaya, West Bengal, Gujarat, Rajasthan, Assam, and then Jammu Kashmir, and also from other countries like Italy, Bangladesh, Nigeria, Nepal, and HP, Mumbai, and ICR institutions, Tripura. From all these places, they have registered, and I think soon they'll be joining this webinar. And I request the August gathering to make an extensive interaction with the speaker once his session is completed. So thank you one and all, and I thank Director of EI for giving me this opportunity. So thank you so much. And now I request upon Dr. V. Sudharani Madam, Director of Extension, PJTSAU and President, SCP Hyderabad, to give her opening remarks on this webinar topic. Sudharani Madam.
Yeah. A very good afternoon to all of you. Thank you, Vasanta. Really, I feel very much elated today for having so many extension professionals on board, more than 100 right now, and I think a few more may join. So I would like to really thank all our doyens of extension fraternity, Venkureddy sir and Samantha sir and all those, and the present academic leaders and stalwarts of extension from various ICR institutes as well as universities across the country. And really the topic today, which has been chosen by SEP, is really one such topic which is very, very thoroughly needed lot of introspection and intervention and discussion among us. So I feel we have a very right person here to throw some light and give us a right direction for the research in the country, Dr. Sethuraman here. And also, I feel we started talking about extension research more frequently for the past 4 or 5 years, I can say. Otherwise, the extension research used to get restricted to only the extension scientists in the institutes and to the Department of Extension in the colleges. Never we used to have elaborate discussions and then introspection and brainstorming. But for the past 5 years, with the support of all our senior stalwarts of extension profession as well as all the extension scientists across the country, with a common interest of strengthening the extension discipline as such, we started all coming together, and SCP is really, I think we would like to take this forward under SCP so that how best we can make our extension research more qualitative, more relevant, and more addressing to the present challenges. So here just I would like to give a rider for every extension scientist who is especially who are working in KVKs, data centers and who are doing academic research and all. Now, what is that is needed when we talk about the competencies in the extension research? Generally, everybody gets very much worried about the what you call techniques that are required to be used, and statistical what you call software that is required to be used. So all these things will come to your mind. But basically, how far we are using the basic extension theories, principles, and the body of knowledge that is already existing with us, the foundation. So what is that we need to do as a person, as a layman, how best we can begin with the extension research? So these things we need to focus on. And another aspect is more so across the country after independence, we started more, lot of focus has been given to the extension system, and extension discipline was treated separate. And in the extension system also, earlier it was service oriented, input oriented, then it became service oriented. Then we started having a lot of reforms, production led, market led, public private partnership, so many what you call transformation. It is a continuous transformation we are observing. But the extension system as well as the extension discipline as such, they will thrive and survive and would be strong only when extension research is strong. Extension research is like backbone to these two things. We started earlier feeling the extension system, the ecosystem has these two things inbuilt. No, extension research should embrace and encompass these two things and have the research on both the directions, and then come up with a very good scientific body of knowledge that really gives a lot of understanding to the extension researcher on basic what you call principles, theories and concepts and phenomena, and accordingly he can use that knowledge to apply in the field and to conduct the research addressing the challenges and problems that are changing every day. So this is what is one of the important thing that is we need to what you call focus upon. And here, whenever we are being questioned, maybe in so many fora or in the meetings, when any extension scientist is asked about to tell about the truth about the quality and the utility of the extension research, so how best it will be taken? Are we really what you call confident enough in giving our results? So these are the things, certain of the things we need to address. And one more thing I tell you, we have a lot of scope to do a very good innovative research. I tell you, extension is one such discipline which has so many areas. In so many areas you can do the research, plethora of areas and topics you can cover. Because it is not just agriculture, you can do research in allied sectors, whatever that is related to the farmer, you can research upon. So you have so many areas to do, but this expansion of the areas of research, yes, it is happening quite for the past few years. This is a very growing sign of the what you call any discipline. But however, what we need to caution, be cautioned of is the redundancy problem, the repetitive research, problem delineation, research prioritization. These things are very, very important. I think there where the role of SCP comes in providing a proper direction to the professionals in this area. And also another important aspect we need to consider is the possible inaccuracies that can go in extension research, or there are three things are there. One is with regard to the conceptual level. So how best we can able to perceive the concept from a social phenomena, how we bring it out, and then at level type, that is at measurement level, and then comes the prediction. See, after measuring, what I try to do, I try to predict. So at these three levels, so a lot of inaccuracies are happening, and for which so many what you call solutions and methods have come, like data cleaning, data modeling, so many things have come into picture. So these things need to be considered. And another basic requirements for an extension research, only 4 things if an extension scientist does, I think definitely his research will be relevant, appropriate, and will address the problem. So what are those things? Constant observation. What is happening is whenever after the selection of the problem, the scientist starts observing about the phenomena. No, you should get the you should constantly observe the phenomena that are taking place in the natural setting, then come up with the concept. Come up why that problem is coming. What are the causes? So this observation is very, very, very essential. Though we take it for granted as a very qualitative method of getting the information, but it is very, very essential. So observation is one thing, and then quantification. So how do you quantify what you observe? How you try to quantify it? And attribution, how you attribute, and then how you interpret. So observation, quantification, attribution, and interpretation. If you practice these 4 things in your day-to-day, what you call working, I think definitely you will come up with so many new innovative areas of research, and you will identify the real problems, and accordingly you can do the research. And one more important thing, for this to happen, observation, quantification, attribution, and then interpretation to happen properly, you need to do environment scanning. In wherever the institute you are working, wherever the district you are working or village you are working, you need to constantly scan the environment, the agri extension ecosystem, and try to identify, try to extrapolate and interrelate the factors there, try to identify the issues, the causes, and then try to work upon, come up with a research project or a research idea. And another important is most of the times what is happening now in the name of quantification will be after numbers. So to what extent we need to be after numbers? And where do we need to make a stop? And where do we need the qualitative information? Because most of the benefits of the research or any project or any scheme, they are not tangible, they are indirect. So how you are going to get that information? There where the role of qualitative methods, quasi-qualitative methods will come. So you need to know that to strike the balance between these things. And another important area what I feel is to be focused is the feedback system of the extension research findings. Feedback of the extension research findings to all the extension professionals, both in the extension academic side as well as to the professionals. This is very, very essential. We need to have a fluid, dynamic feedback system for our requirement, for our discipline to get strengthened. This is very, very essential. And somewhere I read to have more effective research, we need to have the compensation to the respondents. So this compensation to the respondents need not be any form like any incentives or anything like that. If we make the benefits of the approaches or the methods being realized by the respondents, work on it, I think at least they will come forward. But most of the times what happens is whenever anybody goes for a survey or anything, so what do I get? This is the first question the extension scientist faces from the clientele. So how we need to compensate? How we need to make him realize the benefits of our research, our stakeholders. So this is very, very essential. I think definitely this particular what you call webinar by our honorable speaker today, Dr. P. Sethuraman Garu, would be definitely a torchbearer to all of us in this direction. And I request all the participants to be within the webinar till it gets completed, and please actively participate and interact with the speaker. And also you can come up with your own ideas and you can suggest so that it will be of greater use to all the participants in the webinar. So thank you, Vasanta, for giving me this opportunity. So I welcome Sethuraman sir once again. Thank you, Director EI, for initiating this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for guidance on the areas of gap that are to be addressed in our extension research. Now, I request our Director EA, Dr. M. Jagan Mohan Reddy Garu, to speak a few words about the SEP.
Thank you, Vasanta. I once again welcome the learned speaker of today's webinar, Dr. P. Sethuraman Sivakumar, Principal Scientist, ICR, CTCRI, Kerala, and our Director of Extension, Sudharan ma'am, as well as our SEP office bearers, SEP members, and the galaxy of participants representing various institutions, ICR institutions, and even universities as listed by Dr. Vasanta, and also from different countries also I'm seeing here, from Nigeria and Nepal. I also welcome Dr. Jaya, the Deputy Director from Manage, the Director Atari Zone 10. I could not able, our SV Red sir, many names are finding here, time is not sufficient. Thank you for your overwhelming response. It's in a short note. I made an attempt by SEP, Society of Extension Professionals, to take up this lecture on emerging approaches and trends such as social change perspective as a starting point in the webinar series of this SEP by our learned, well-known personality in the domain of extension by Sethuraman sir. Just for the knowledge of the participants, I will narrate a brief note about Society of Extension Professionals. So it is a delightful moment to announce that the Society of Extension Professionals is established at Hyderabad in the erstwhile Andhra Pradesh, India as its headquarters, and the society is registered with the registration number 1630 of 2012 under the AP Societies Registration Act 2001, Act number 35 of 2001 at the Office of Registrar of Societies, Rangareddy District, Hyderabad, Andhra Pradesh, India on 12th July 2012. The mission of SEP is to provide a professional society for extension professionals who share the common goal of strengthening the discipline of extension education, in particular in advancing the extension research and education, enhancing the professional growth of its members, and promoting the extension research and education in the service of patients and humankind. The main objectives are to promote farmers' welfare through advancing the acquisition and dissemination of extension scientific knowledge, organizing the seminars, workshops, conferences locally, nationally, and internationally in the field of extension education, rural development, and other related areas, supporting and promoting the standards of excellence in teaching, research, and extension in the discipline of extension education, developing innovative extension delivery mechanisms to promote the efficiency of field extension service, striving for ensuring excellence through networking with similar national and international organizations for strengthening HRD, food and livelihood security of the resource poor farmers, addressing the problems of unreached and disadvantaged groups under gender concerns, bring out relevant publications including the newsletter, journal in extension and rural development. Shortly, we are planning a newsletter. Probably we may take up the journal also by the end of next midway of the next year, to undertake and participate in consultancy service and special studies, to act as a pressure group lobbying to the cause of farmers and fishermen, undertaking all such activities related to rural reconstruction and development in tune with the changing circumstances. Many are asking the membership modalities. At present, the membership fee for the patrons is 1 lakh. Life membership. For Indian nationals, it is 2,500 rupees. For foreigners, it is 200 US dollars. For corporates or companies, all societies or organizations, NGOs, it is 25,000 rupees. And all government institutions, 10,000 rupees. Associate member, 1,000 rupees. That means line department extension of personals, input dealers, and agripreneurs. As well as farmers, innovators, 1,000 rupees. And the students, it is 5. And recently, we have constituted an ad hoc body for this Society of Extension Professionals. The president is Dr. V. Sudharani, the president director of extension of our university PJTSAU. Vice President Dr. G.D. Satish Kumar, principal scientist, Indian Institute of Oil Seeds Research of Hyderabad. I myself, Dr. M. Jagan Mohan Reddy, director of this Extension Education Institute, as General Secretary, and Dr. K. Madhubabu, Professor and Head of the Department of Agriculture Extension, College of Agriculture, Arnagar, Hyderabad, is the Joint Secretary, and Dr. I. Srinivasa Rao, Senior Professor and University Head of EI Rajendra Nagar, is the Treasurer. So this is purely an ad hoc, and probably shortly we will conduct a general body meeting with all the present members, and we will invite the nominations for conducting the elections. So this is a brief narration about the Society of Extension Professionals. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Director Sir, for your kind words about the SEP. Now, quickly, I call upon Dr. G.D. Satish Kumar Sir, who is the Principal Scientist at IIOR Rajendra Nagar, to give an introduction about the today's speaker.
Dr. Vasanta. I'm very happy to introduce Dr. Sethuraman Sivakumar. Actually, he doesn't need much introduction because I think all the extension professionals know him because he's a resource person and he was a resource person for many training programs and even hands-on training programs and the training programs conducted by universities, ICR institutes. So, but still, more specifically for the students and the younger extension professionals, I just will rush through his biodata. It is very exhaustive, but still we have already behind the schedule. I'll try to rush through the biodata. Fortunately, he is our ARS batchmate. He's a 98 ARS topper. I remember. Used to interact with him for especially general knowledge questions. Thank you for helping me also, Sethuraman. Then basically his research interests are into modeling human behavior, which is of very advanced in nature, especially on food acceptance, then technology commercialization and agri-entrepreneurship development. He is also the head of the ITMU at CTCRI. In that sense, he is more into the technology commercialization aspects. And his silent contribution to extension research per se, or he developed many models, more specifically sensory acceptance model for quality evaluation of food products, the two sweet potato. Then behavioral acceptance model for IT usage in development organizations. Then sweet potato biofortification priority index. Then he also documented around 65 indigenous recipes prepared from tuber crops. Then apart from this, he is a core committee member for developing the curriculum for MSc agriculture extension and also PhD extension. And he has developed 5 courses in each of them, which are being taught in the universities throughout the country. He did his BSc AG from TNU, MSc Development Communication from GB Pant Agriculture University, and a PhD from OUAT. And more specifically, he is a postdoctoral fellow availing Fulbright scholarship. He did his PDF in Florida State University. Then at presently, all of you are told he's a principal scientist at CTCRI Thiruvananthapuram. Right through his career, he was in CTCRI only. I'm very much impressed by his publications. He has published in national and international journals. Many times, extension scientists, what I saw, young scientists, they complain that we don't have good journals for publication. Maybe our all national extension journals are 4-5 rated only. But here we can see Sethuraman, he has published in very good journals with our NAS rating of around 9.7 and 8.9, more specifically Food Science and Technology, International Journal of Food Science and Technology, and Journal of Sensory Studies. Then other our even experimental agriculture. That is very happy to see this experimental agriculture, because normally agronomists and crop sciences people, they do publish in experimental agriculture. But here we can see a social scientist publishing in such a reputed journal. And apart from this, he has published a lot of articles in national journals. Then even he had an article in Current Science, which is normally again for crop sciences and economics. Then he had published a few books also. I'm not reading the entire title of the book. Then very specifically, he is associated with as a expert panelist in COP14, one of the sessions in COP14. And also he received outreach lecturing fund from Institute of International Education, Washington, for delivering a lecture on functional foods in India. Then one more important accomplishment is he is listed in the Marquis Who's Who in the World 29th edition, 2011. Then he is a reviewer for many of the journals, out of which Human Behavior, which is published by Elsevier. Then he has got awards from the extension societies, and also he is the expert member for selection of farmers for state level awards. And he's the expert for many departmental assessment committees and external examiner for MSc and PhD students. And he has delivered almost 83 invited talks. That is a very huge achievement. And apart from that, he's a life member of International Honor Society in Psychology, which is affiliated to APA, American Psychological Association, where we normally cite based on their citation. Then he is a life member of Indian Society of Root Crops also. Then we are happy that he has accepted our invitation to deliver a lecture. As we know, the extension professionals generally, they deal with changing the behavior of our clients, changing the behavior of farmers or our stakeholders. The behavioral change is in terms of attitude, knowledge, skills, we all know. But Dr. Sethuraman has taken a broader view of this change in extension research in terms of social change that involves the human interactions and also relationships, which change the institutions or the society over a period of time. This is a very broader view. We are very grateful to him, and I invite him to give the talk on the present topic, Emerging Approaches and Trends in Extension Research, a social change perspective for the benefit of the Society of Extension Professionals and also the scientists from, as we have seen, from all over India and also other countries, and also many of our senior extension colleagues who have retired and who are also in very management positions are also attending this. Now I invite Dr. Sethuraman. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Satish, and respected Director EEI and HODs and very senior colleagues and the many very participants from several parts of India as well as in abroad. So I first of all thank the Society of Extension Professionals for inviting me for this this program. And even I would say that this topic is a very tough topic. It's not an easy thing to bring out, because I am the person who is coming in from a research institution which is focusing on a narrow research where I hardly get very few opportunities to work on a broad range of topics like you do in your university. Though that is our limitation from my side, but we have contributed whatever possible my side. Like I have contributed to the extension research as from my experience in a lot of, we used to go for a lot of field visits and to different regions, especially I am the specialist in northeastern hills. We used to travel a lot in the northeastern states and interact with the tribal people. From my experience in working in this institution, as well as my experience in interacting with the students and as well as the distinguished faculty members from others, then I am just putting out all my thoughts. And I mean to say that at the beginning, like I did not have a very big presentation, and 1 hour talk is really a hell for the participants. It is not for me. I used to talk for 2 hours, 3 hours. So after what I find is after 45 minutes, even when you give an international level talk, people will start losing interest. But still, I made 2, 3 presentations, and most of the things which I would like to have a lot of interaction for some specific questions. That will be more of a customizing our interaction to the participants level. So with this background, I'll just start my presentation. Are you getting this slide, madam?
Yes, sir. Yes, it's clear.
Okay. Okay. So this topic, the today's topic is emerging approaches and trends in extension research. And many of you are aware about the what is happening in in a research trends, because there are many. There was a paper from Pantnagar, and there was a paper from NAM, and there was a paper from recently from, even I also did analysis about the what are the papers published in leading extension journals in India and other countries. And you already aware of what is happening now in terms of the extension research, which I am not going to touch much, but I'll be explaining a little bit about this. But the focus of this presentation is like the premise, I will say that the premise of the presentation is like extension is not an independent science, which will be continuously doing research on some extension methodologies, or developing some approaches, and some isolated research on doing some attitude kind of things. I will consider from this presentation, my consideration of the extension research is about doing something in a complex environment, and try to influence the farmers' behavior in such a way that that we all know that a farmer is working in a complex kind of environment. We used to talk about a word complex, diverse, and risk-prone environment. And many of you are aware of that agriculture is one of the very dangerous occupations in the world. Like it is listed in top 5. So because the farmer is not a person who is coming and doing in some kind of mechanized environment. He has to work in an environment which he may or may not have a full control over the environment at all, and he may not be able to manipulate his ways of doing something and get the good result. So there are several factors, like from climatic factors and from socioeconomic factors of the farmer at the household level, and several market forces, and sometimes the policy environment in a particular state or particular district or in a particular country. So they work in a very complex kind of environment. And the duty of our extension system as such, like especially the people who are in the professional extension service, they have to apply some kind of methodologies or some kind of approaches, so that the farmers problems are diagnosed, and again they identified the priority to be taken intervention, and they identified different kind of solutions for the farmers problem. That the solutions may be a technology solution, may be a management approach, or solution may be a provision, something like a giving, linking with some credit or linking with some market. So it is a kind of a complex kind of situation where extension worker or extension professional has to work for the farmers to make his situation better. So that's why the ministry is now changed in India. You call it as Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. And some states it is farmer empowerment. People are talking about a higher order concept like a farmers welfare or farmers empowerment, which is a higher order concept from our side. It is not possible to achieve it within a possible period of time. And again, this particular case, in this particular kind of complex situation, as an extension scientist who is a trained professional, extension professional, who is doing some scientific and systematic research in a complex environment to bring out something, so that at the end of his research, some tangible output will come. That output will be useful for some stakeholder, maybe for a person himself, or maybe for the department where he belongs, or maybe for the policy maker, and ultimately it is for the benefit of the farmers. So in that case, we have to look this kind of situation in a social change perspective. Ultimately, we are trying to achieve the farmers' welfare. We are trying to achieve the livelihood security. We are trying to achieve the food security. We want to get the nutritional security. So these all things, what we are trying to do is a kind of indicators of a kind of social change. That's why I put my topic as a social change. It is not a simple technology transfer. It is much more than the technology transfer. So when you look into the state of agriculture in India, like in the beginning, our madam and others told there is a participants from other countries as well, but I will be customizing, because I think the same thing will be there in your country also, so we'll be able to understand the situation. So before going into what is the role of extension, it is very essential to understand what is happening around us. So because these things are going to define what we are supposed to do. It is not that a textbook or your job description will say that what you are supposed to do. It is not like that. When you are sitting, then there is a problem in the farmers field, or when there is a development program implemented by the government of India, when there is a policy change, like you have to create a 10,000 FPOs in the country. So you have to address to the changes, not only in the field level problem, not only in the mandate of your institution, not only to the mandate of your particular priorities of your state government, and again in the national government. You are trying to address the needs of the all kind of stakeholders, and as a scientist, whatever research you are going to do is they have to provide answer at least to two or three stakeholders who are willing to listen to you and who want the information, the output from the extension research. The first thing you can see that the food grain production is increasing. In the recent years, there is a bumper production in India, but it is not stable. It is not stable. And again, we are all very happy that we are able to achieve the food security, especially through social intervention. Food security is not achieved through only production. It is a PDS, public distribution system, is a social innovation which actually directly contributes to the local level food security, and the nutritional security at the grassroots level is achieved through Anganwadi and midday meals program. So our duty is only to produce it, but the actual food security is achieved by some other people who are the participants, who are the stakeholders of our system. And the second thing is, you see that,
can you make it slideshow?
okay, I'll just because this is a PDF, I'll try to make it full screen.
Excuse me, sir. Satish Kumar sir, please. Satish Kumar sir, please mute.
Okay.
Select full screen mode below.
Okay. Let me, yeah. Is it clear now?
It's clear.
Yes.
Okay. So when you are having a sufficient quantity of food grains produced to feed over 1 billion kind of people, but there is a inequality in the food intake. So there is a consumer survey. There is a survey by National Household Survey by NSSO. It has clearly indicated that there is an inequality in the consumption of the different kind of foods. You can see the food grains, like the people who are in the top 10, top 5 in terms of the in terms of the economic situation, in terms of the annual income which they are getting it, they are spending about 2859 rupees for food per month. But at the same time, you will see that the people who are in the bottom level, they are getting only 948.34. So that means that, so it is something like you can see how much inequality is there between the food consumption. Again, you can check into the fresh fruit consumption, because it is directly bearing to your nutritional security, like RDA. So 244.3 grams are fresh are being consumed, but at the same time, in the lower level, they are 46.7. It is not that whenever you are going production, the consumption will not the same. We are seeing the consumption of the different kind of foods. You can see vegetables, you can see the milk product. There is a sea change, like twice or thrice higher. The people who are in the top level of the economic ladder, they are consuming, they are spending a lot of money, and they are able to get more kind of quality food than the people who are in the bottom side. So this is a kind of it is not only the indicator of food intake, it is an indicator of nutritional insecurity at the grassroots level, especially the people who are on the lower side of the economic ladder in India. And again, in another side, you can see there is a 22% increase in the export of the agricultural and the processed food products. So you can see that is from 2021 to 2022. So there's a huge change, because able to create a lot of exporting the food, but at the same time, there is an inequality in the food intake in India. And if you look into the producers of food in India, you can see the state of farmers in India. The average age of Indian farmer is 50.1 years. That means that average age is a huge problem, because we are getting the people who are crossed the middle age, almost reaching to the old age. So the youngsters are not coming. If you look into the rural youth who are aspiring to be a farmer, is only 1.2%. There was a survey conducted 2 years back. And again, if you see the average land holding is it is reducing. It is only 1.1 hectare. And small at the same time, which is like we talked about land holding, interest in like doing agriculture. And at the same time, there is another data which is not mentioned here. The people, the farmers who are quitting agriculture is about 5,000 in a week. So there was another survey which has indicated that means that people are trying to move out of the agriculture, and the youth are not interested to come to agriculture. And at the same time, why such things are happening? Because you see that farmers access to the credit, especially the small farmer, a country which is dominated by small farmers, only 40% credit is being accessed. So that means that it is one of the production constraint which has to be removed. Okay. So, but if you are looking into the agricultural income, especially the farm household income, which also includes the agricultural income, you see the share of the income for a particular farm household is actually now the total monthly income per capita in India is 10,218. Okay, so this is divided. When you divide this income, you see 37.17 production is percentage is coming from crop production, but it is not the highest. Crop production means the agricultural income which they are getting it from their own farm. And but the highest one is they are getting money through wage employment. They are going to other field and working in the off season. So this is a serious issue. We want the rural household income, that the maximum income should come from their own farm, but it is not happening. But they are getting good income from livestock. They are getting good income from non-farm business, and as well as by leasing out the land. So this is a kind of situation. This is a kind of representation which we are getting, where an extension worker or where an extension professional should work. So that means that you are going in the situation, you are interacting with your household where their major income is coming through the wage employment, not through their own agriculture. So you have a lot of things to do in a micro level, in a farm household. But if you look into the state-wise distribution of the different income, the highest farm income is coming in Punjab, Haryana, and Kerala in terms of the how much they are earning per month. But if you look into the other state like Bihar, Jharkhand, Odisha, and even in all India, you can see the all India level is much more lesser than these three or four states. So that means that there is a gross inequality of the farm income which is taken by the farmers. Because when we talk about a large small farmer hold based economy, when there is an inequality is there in terms of the agricultural income, in terms of the food consumption, or in terms of different inequalities, so it is going to be a very tough situation. It is not very easy for an extension scientist extension worker to help these farmers. And again, there are broader issues to deal with. One is climate change. If you look into this graph, you see that almost like a 50% India is vulnerable to climate change. That means that this climatic change is not for the human common man's life. It is for the farmers. It is agriculture related to the vulnerability towards the climate change. So, and again, if you look into the another direction, there is unstable market prices. So farmers are living in a case where the market price is not same. There is a changes in the variation in the year by year. There is a variation. Market forces are not in the hands of the farmers. Okay, but in another side, in the consumption side, when you look into the consumption side, the vitamin A deficiency, especially the micronutrient malnutrition, is very high. And again, malnutrition per se is very high, like a waste, like in the between the National Family Health Survey conducted recently, it has identified that wasting is it is actually increased during the COVID period. So that means that even by producing so much of food by technological advances, even by making so many government related programs, but we are unable to make this kind of balanced. And again, see the another thing which is a very positive thing, that the emergence of agribusiness as a key driver of agricultural development. So you can see the broad facts in India. 58% of the Indians are engaged in agricultural practice. We know it. And 60% of the overall Indian agriculture GDP only from animal farming and horticulture. You can see this is a kind of diversification which is happening at the farm household level. Apart from general crop production, they are going for a major income is coming from livestock and horticulture. And again, 18% of the GDP contributed by agriculture. In Indian GDP, only 18%. We have come down from 50% to 35% to now 18%. Only 11% of the Indian agricultural production has increased in the last 14 years. There is going to be the stagnation in the agricultural production in the coming years. And again, in the same time, this is not a very bad thing. One side we are suffering, and another side you can see private sector investment in agribusiness is shooting up. That means that when you look into 60% contribution from animal like a livestock and horticulture, there is, and again I also told a 22% increase in the export. That means that the business opportunities are going to increase in the coming years. And you can see the agri-tech funding in the last few years from 2017 to 2020. In 2017, there is a compound annual growth rate has increased by 53%. So that means that investment, people are ready to invest money in agriculture. Even though farmers are planning to quit, rural youth are not interested, and people are not getting proper 40%. Only 40% farmers are having access to the credit, but investors are ready to invest money in agriculture. That means that we are going into a kind of situation where the agribusiness is going to save the agriculture, especially the food processing and the value addition, especially for the milk and livestock products, and horticulture is going to be the future. So to summarize whatever we saw it, agriculture in India, a sector which has the largest labor force in the country, but contributes only to 18% of the national GDP. Despite the increase in the production of agricultural commodities, malnutrition is still rampant. That means that food is not being distributed equally to the population. Consumption of food grain is decreasing while high value horticultural and livestock products are preferred. And I want to put some data here. The consumption of food grains from 2010 to 2020, it has decreased by 33%. And again, consumption of meat is increased by 25%. Consumption of vegetables and fruits are increased by more than 45%. In India, the per capita consumption, there is an increase in the livestock products and there is an increase in the horticultural products. And again, despite farmers getting distressed with the agricultural profession, and many of them are planning to quit, the private sector funding for agricultural startups, especially agribusiness, is increasing exponentially. That means that there is an opportunity. Even at the distress, you will get an opportunity. And while climate change is adversely affecting the agricultural production, the consumption is determined largely by the nutrition and health. Because why the consumption is determined by the nutrition and health is India is the diabetic capital in the world. So what we came to know at the end of this few slides is we made so many technologies, we increased the production by 50%, 60%. So we made a big green revolution. We made everything, but the thing is, whatever we achieved through this agriculture, like a production, increasing the production of agriculture, livestock, and other horticulture, it is not properly distributed because of the economic inequalities, even among the farmers, because of the value chain problem. So this is a kind of situation which we are living. It is going to be, it will be becoming much more worse in the future. So now what exactly we are supposed to do at this point? So the changing focus of extension and advisory services. Extension and advisory services are not no more a technology transfer thing. It is much more. So we are facing a problem of climate change, and we have to build a climate resilience among the farmers. So that one of the challenge which we are going to do it is building the climate resilience among the farmer. Second one is unstable market price is happening. So we have to strengthen the value chain. So how will you strengthen the value chain? One of the way of strengthening the value chain is the agripreneurship. Like you make a kind of make the farmer as a both producer as well as the entrepreneur. So agripreneurs are basically a farmer doing some kind of business. Okay. So that's why we are talking more about the self-help group. We are talking more about the FPOs. We are talking more about the farmer interest group, and there is a lot of interest happening in the recent times on strengthening the grassroots level farmers organization, because they have to get a stable market price throughout uniformly. And again, one more issue is happening is the farmer distress. So there was a lot of farmer suicide in the recent times. So one of the solutions proposed for avoiding the farmer suicide is farm diversification. And there is a widespread biotic and abiotic stresses, partly due to the climate change and due to other factors. So there you have to do promote the stress tolerant technologies. I am not talking about only varieties. We need to look into different kind of technology and management aspects, so that you can mitigate the negative effects of the biotic and abiotic stresses. And again, malnutrition. So we have to go for a nutrition sensitive field intervention. We have a lot of technologies which can combat the malnutrition problem in a natural way. We have food fortification, we have the biofortifiers and variety, we do nutritional gardens, and many of them are technology based as well as the management based, because nutrition gardens is more of a management based than the technology based. Okay. And it is agricultural income. That means that we are talking about the doubling the farmers' income. We have to go for the agricultural entrepreneurship development. I am using the word agricultural entrepreneurship because agricultural entrepreneurship has different dimensions. One is agripreneur, a farmer taking up the entrepreneurship. There are three types of agripreneurs. And again, the second one is like a self-help group, some groups, farmers groups. And the third one is farmers organizations like cooperatives and farmer producer organizations or farmer producer companies. They are all more of related to the farmer. In the other side of the agricultural entrepreneurship is startups, agricultural startups and small businesses like agri clinics and small pesticide shops, and then all are coming under the category of small business. And we also have corporates who are investing in agriculture. So we have a different kind of entrepreneurship things are there. Even in the recent times, governments are recognized entrepreneurship is one of the prominent ways of maximizing or doubling the farmer's income. So I used to use the word maximizing the farmer's income, because doubling the farmer's income is a very sensitive thing, and all practical terms, within 1 or 2 years we cannot double the farmer's income. So what we can do is we can maximize the income by 20% or 30% by making some kind of diversification, and doubling the farmer's income will happen only in a long term, after 5 years or 6 years. So again, when we are facing the agriculture specific problems, but and again, international level, there are the national development goals as well as the international development goals. We talk about SDGs, sustainable development goals, because we in extension field, we often have a very less importance for SDGs. But SDGs are very important because they are the part of the national policy for agricultural development, and we have to translate some of the FDGs into the grassroots level so that the national goals will be achieved. So extension is not about satisfying your boss. Extension is satisfying your boss and his boss and all other the big boss of the institution, because we have to translate the national goals. That's why government is talking about convergence. So government is talking about, because central government is investing so much of money in the central sector programs. We have so many central sector program. Lot of we all have extension people. We all have a perception about means central sector program means subsidies. People think about only subsidies. They don't do any work. Something like we have. But we need to converge the central sector programs into our institution program. That is very, very important. Like we also initiated to some extent in some places, where whenever we are going and making a field intervention, we are asking the farmer to, we are talking to the state government department to provide subsidies for our progressive farmers, and we are trying to converge with the Atma. Convergence is not about training the Atma people. Convergence is about working with the Atma people and implementing the government central sector program into the ICR program or the university program. That so we have a broader goal of integrating this national development goals into the extension work. So this is what we are supposed to do, and to implement such kind of micro level and macro level development priorities, farmers' problems, and then contextual changes. So when everything is coming into an extension person in the grassroots level, as an extension scientist, I have a very strong feeling that our extension scientists should develop some kind of models and methodologies which will help the professional extension system at the grassroots level, because India has one of the largest extension system, professional extension system in the world. But more than 60-70% of the extension professionals, they are not trained in extension, because they are coming after doing the BSc agriculture or veterinary or soil conservation or engineering. So after their bachelor degree, they are joining there, and very few people are going for master's degree, and they are not the trained extension professionals, but their job is to do the extension activity at the grassroots level. So they don't know the methods, how to make a change in the grassroots level. So our duty as an extension scientist sitting in ICR institutions or in the universities, we have to do some extension work from our level. We have to develop some kind of replicable models which will be useful for the professional extension people at the department level, because we all have a perception that they are simply achieving the targets. This many people has to be subsidy, this many people has to be given that PM Kisan. It's not like that. They are giving lot of opportunity, as said, to integrate those schemes into ICR university program. So this convergence we have to do it. Okay, in the new extensionist paradigm, like we say that in GIFRAS, like ASA is doing it, because I think many of you are aware about the agriculture extension in South Asia, which is having a center in India at Hyderabad. So they are involved in a lot of kind of promoting agriculture extension research and then field level extension program, and they have a website. So that along ASA along with the GIFRAS, they have devised a new extensionist program paradigm to address the challenges which is happening at the global level. So we have to translate this new extensionist paradigm into the extension line, especially the extension research. So one of the components is facilitating knowledge management. These are all, I will say that this framework, new extensionist framework, is addressing many of the issues which I outlined in my earlier slides. So this is the extension way of dealing with the challenges. Extension is way of taking the challenges at the micro level, at the macro level, what we are supposed to do at the grassroots level, how we are going to meet the challenges posed at the different levels by devising some kind of methodologies which will be helping us to address some issues at the grassroots level. So one of the strategies is facilitating knowledge management. We talk about farmers' knowledge, like we talk about ITK, farmer innovations, all are coming under the category of farmers' knowledge. That means that the technology and the knowledge will not be generated only in the institution, it will be generated in the grassroots level also. So our duty is the facilitating the knowledge management both at the grassroots level as well as at the institute level. How will you facilitate the knowledge generation or management at the institute level is, you have to help your scientists with the field level problems. You have to help your scientists to identify the research priorities which they are supposed to take. And you have to tell your breeder that what kind of variety is required by the farmers. You have to tell your crop protection scientists that this is the major pest which is happening in the field. So this is we have conducted some kind of research in the field. I identified this is the pest, so you have to do it. You have to put a priority at this level. So when you are conducting a research, when you are going to a field, doing some kind of interaction with the farmers, you have to use some kind of structured and scientifically accepted methodology to elicit the farmers' problems and preferences. So you analyze the data, you identify which is the more important thing to be addressed by the scientists, then you tell to scientists. The other thing is ITK. We talk about the documentation of ITK. We talk about the rationality assessment of the ITK. So there is a concept called scientization of the ITKs. So scientization says, because farmers are having a very rich knowledge which is perfected over a period of centuries, even generations. So when you are identifying the knowledge which is more valuable, and it's also endorsed by your scientist based on some scientific principles, that knowledge has to be converted into a usable form. Whether you convert this knowledge into a free to give the extension line, or else you convert this knowledge into a tangible products which can be commercialized, so that you will get some money and that money will be shared among the farmers. So that's a new kind of research tradition is coming up in the ITK. It is not only about documenting ITK, it is about validating ITK both in terms of the rationality. Rationality is basically a scientist opinion. You have to go for a field level validation. So there are different methods are there. Quick method is there for field level validation of the ITK. Once ITK is validated, you have to identify to whom the ITK will be more useful. Whether you are giving the ITK at free of cost, whether you are converting this ITK into a commercializable product. When you are converting it to indeed, you have to take a patent. Like people talk about the geographical indications and other copyright. Now there are many different methodologies are there to patent the farmers, not only patent, protecting the intellectual property of the farmer's knowledge. So whole process of taking up the ITK and making it into a commercializable product is called as scientization. There are researchers are coming up in the large scale, especially in India. When you are looking into National Innovation Foundation, Honeybee Network, so they actually did the scientization work. But in our agriculture, we are yet to do it. We are only documenting and validating the rationality assessment. We are not commercializing it. We have to do it. In the second level, creating farmers organizations. So we talk about farmers are not getting the regular income. So 1 year they are getting bumper harvest and the income is less because the market price is reduced. In another year they are getting less harvest and good income is there. So income is varying. It is not only because of weather conditions, but because of the market forces and the customer demand. So value chain problem. If farmers are not different value chain, I would try to squeeze these value chain unnecessary actors into a farmer producer organizations. So farmer producer organizations are nothing but the contrived versions of the value chains. So yeah, we all understand that the farmer is a primary producer. Okay, over the years the farmer knows only the production. But since he is not getting a good price, so we want the farmers to take up the other roles. So FPO, what is happening? Farmers in the FPO, farmers are producers, farmers are aggregators, farmers are commission agents, and farmers are wholesale traders, and farmers are retailers. All the 5 major value chain activities are contrived into the FPO, Farmers Producer Organization. So that's why we want that the margin, the producer share in the consumer rupee should be more for the producer, not for the intermediate people. So that is we are getting a lot of farmer producer organizations, and there are different kind of researches are happening in the farmers producer organizations. One kind of research is how much the impact of the farmers producer organization. There are many papers published on valued members. Okay, and again the impact of farmers producer organizations and the extent of extension activities means how they are able to spread the knowledge, new knowledge, how they are able to spread the new technology, how the FPOs are catalyzing the adoption of the new technology. There are many researches are conducted in FPOs. There are some some research papers which are focusing on the group processes which are involved in the FPOs. So there are, this is coming up in a large way, like NAM is doing good work, and PJTSU also done some work, and then like a NCAP, that National Institute of Agriculture Economics and Policy Research, they are doing, even manage as a FPO academy, because this is coming up in a big way, like about the for FPOs and the FIGs and other farmers related organizations. And third one is facilitating access to the credit. We talked about 40%, only 40% marginal farmers are getting access to the credit. So the foremost responsibility lies with our extension workers is, you have to take the small farmers, you have to take the small farmers to the banks and provide them the credit. So okay, there are many policy kind of changes are there which facilitate the for small farmers access to the credit. One is like many for small farmers, there are many bank-based programs. NABARD is having several programs. Even many cases, the primary aspect behind the providing credit to the farmers is there is no mortgage, especially when you are looking Mudra loan. Mudra loan for entrepreneur, farmer entrepreneur, any farmer who is taking up a small business. So up to 10 lakhs, you don't have to go for any guarantee. There is no guarantee. So government has several programs to expand the access of the credit to the farmers. Duty that we have to take the farmers to the link with the banks, and as well as we have to help them to get the more credit. And there are many research studies conducted on small farmers' access to the credit, especially on the microfinance. And one research study which I will be explaining little later, so I am not going to explain now. Okay. The another one is convening innovation platforms. Convening innovation platform and knowledge management are almost like overlapping. In innovation platform is a multi-stakeholder platform, which is also coming in the next case. So where the local problems are identified in a collaborative mode, and the solution is devised based on their construction of the group knowledge. Like it is an integration of farmers' knowledge with the scientist perspective. That is why agricultural innovation systems concept is coming in the recent times. Earlier we used to call it as agricultural knowledge and information system. Nowadays it is coming into innovation platforms are coming. So there are many research papers, especially when you look into the Journal of Agricultural Systems, Elsevier journal. There are many papers which are pertaining to the innovation platform. And again, developing the stakeholder networks, because when you talk about convergence at the grassroots level, so when we want the people like ICR institutes, State Agriculture University, and the professional extension system should come together and work at the grassroots level. So such kind of convergence will happen only when the stakeholders are properly connected. So in our textbooks, we used to say that there are state level committees and district level committees and national level committees where extension system and the research system, they are coming together, like a regional, different regional committees, strategic extension research councils, and somewhere in samitis. So we have an institutional framework, but here we are talking about the informal networks which is institutionalized at the later stages. So there are many research papers which are conducted using especially the social network analysis. So I will be showing one of the paper on this developing the stakeholder network. And there is another thing which role which is assigned to promoting equality. We talk about women empowerment. We talk about the group is the primary mechanism, the innovation which is devised to make an woman empowerment. There are many other mechanisms, but it is the innovative mechanism devised to promote the women empowerment through several approaches, not only based on technology, management approach, based on access to the credit, based on several things. And again, the another one is disseminate new knowledge. So this is a traditional role of any extension person. So we use ICT, we use different traditional media to take up the new information about the technology, about the development program, about the state program or central sector program to the farmers. Okay, and new knowledge will be disseminated to the farmer through some kind of media. So there are many research studies conducted on ICTs and multimedia, how the multimedia can be used to reach the farmers. Kisan call centers are there, and how the mobile phones and the smartphones were used to disseminate the information. what is the feedback pattern and how it was used. There are many research studies are there. And providing input and market services, this is one of the roles which is assigned to the extension professional. So apart from providing advisory service, we have to facilitate the farmer by connecting them with the appropriate input dealers and who will be giving a proper guidance to them, because now manages a DAISY program. That DAISY program, the input dealer is considered as a para extension worker who is advising the farmer, because now they created a license system. Only somebody who has the completed the DAISY program, they can go for a pesticide shop or any input shop. So there are many research studies conducted on input and marketing linkage, especially for some of them for the farmers producer organizations, and some of them for how the self-help group are connected with the different marketing services, and other marketing behavior kind of studies were conducted. And again, the last one, the one is we have to create a kind of climate resilience among the farmers to adapt to the climate change, which is going to be the major issue in the future. So this is going to be the major issue because it is adversely affecting the crop production. It is not only affecting crops, it is affecting human beings, livestock. So it is going to be the major problem. And I think NDRI is organizing a program on climate resilience, some multivariate kind of how to do the climate resilient agriculture. And some of our ICR scientists and some of them from the KAU as well, they are trained in abroad and how to adapt our farmers to the climate resilience, because this is going to be one of the major issues that many degrees are in the foreign countries, like a climate change extension, related to the climate change extension. And similarly, it is also for nutrition sensitive extension. These are all the terms which you are going to listen a lot in the future, like FPOs, nutrition sensitive extension, and climate change extension. They are going to be the buzzwords in the future. But when you are looking at the current contribution of extension research to this kind of models, this kind of priorities which are identified for the new extensionist framework, I had a analysis of papers published in our Indian extension journals in the last 5 years or 6 years. So we identify facilitating knowledge management. We have proportion of 18.5% papers published on facilitating knowledge management. 9.5% papers published on creating FPOs and farmers organizations and managing FPOs, and facilitating access to credit only 0.2%, and convening innovation platform is only 1.22%. Developing stakeholder and framework networks is 0.41%. Promoting gender equality is 2.03%. Disseminating new knowledge is 12.20%. Providing inputs and other services 0.61%. Supporting adaptation to climate change is 4.07%. None of them are more than 18%, more than 20%. So that means that there is a lot of gap. So our extension research has to be oriented towards the new paradigm rather than looking into old things. Like if I send a paper to this journal, it will be published, and again impact assessment not going to start. This is going to be the future. This is going to be something which is actually addressing the problems faced by our country, as well as the farmers at the grassroots level. So I will give some 2 or 3 examples of what kind of research is conducted in other countries. One component is developing stakeholder networks. So one of the research theme is the creation of multi-stakeholder platforms for collaborative innovation, which is more related to the innovation platform and scaling up of the innovations. So this is one aspect which is coming up in a large way that I will be talking little later about the scaling up. So now we talked about adoption. We know that how much of the new technologies are adopted in the in the particular village or a couple of village or in a district. So we make some kind of scale, like we make coefficient, adoption coefficient or adoption index. So scaling up means when a particular technology is proven to be very good in one particular system, like a KVKs are doing FLDs. Suppose some FLDs or some kind of intervention made by the KVK in a particular district is a huge success. So many papers are published, many blogs are published, meeting notes are published in the ESA platform. Like we talk about the how these farmers are helping in quality planting material production, one KVK by Tanvas, and one FPO created by KVK under IHR. There are many success stories are there, like they are published. But scaling up is nothing but replicating the success stories elsewhere in a successful way. That means that you have to identify a similar environment somewhere in India or somewhere other than which is having a similar agroclimatic zones, similar farmers, socioeconomic characteristics, and similar kind of technological needs, where you can replicate the similar kind of field intervention in such a way that the same successful model will be replicated to more number of places, so that the benefit of the technology as well as the intervention will be scaled up. It is expanded in a larger area. So it is much more than simply going and doing the adoption. So there, one research was conducted, especially in Africa. 3 countries they have taken to explore the capacity to innovate and identify the scaling potential of the multi-stakeholder platform. That means that they have already created a multi-stakeholder platform, and they try to see that this is basically an innovation platform. So how this multi-stakeholder platform is helping the farmers to innovate, or helping the stakeholders to innovate new things, means new technologies, new processes, or new management mechanisms. And again, how these kind of like innovations are replicable. That means that the scaling up potential of these kind of innovations. So they have done research work based on social network analysis and exponential random graph modeling. So what they have done it, they have identified using the social network analysis structural properties of collaborative knowledge exchange and influence network. These are the 3 components of the social network. Collaborative network means there is a group of people, how they are collaborating with each other, and how they are effective in exchanging the knowledge, and how they are able to influence each other in terms of the good line. So these 3 things, they have collected the data using social network analysis and exponential random graph modeling. The results have indicated that there are mismatches between collaboration, knowledge exchange, and influence network for effective innovation and scaling up process. Sorry, mismatch mean what exactly the mismatch happened. So you are not created the multi-stakeholder platform by the stakeholders. They have created a multi-stakeholder platform by taking the people known to each other or are willing to participate. Venn diagram in DRA. Who is more important for the particular, like if I am going to test about the who is more important for cotton farming, cotton growers. So we go for a Venn diagram. So we are identifying bank is very important, NGO is important, KVK is important, by seeing the the size of the circle. And the advanced version of the stakeholder analysis, there is a stakeholder analysis. There is a matrix which says that which stakeholder is more important, which stakeholder is more influential. So that means that when you made this multi-stakeholder platform, you some are willing to participate. So you have to make when you are making a stakeholder platform, you have to take the representative stakeholders. That is very important. That has to be done through proper application of scientific method. Second one is the strength of the linkages. One classic example of the strength of linkage in India is between Atma and research institutions or the university. So we talk about that we have very linkage with Atma, and we always say that when every annual report that linkages, there is a lot of organization, VK, Atma, PJSU, NAM, manage everything. So when you look at what kind of you developed, you might have collected some collaborative training program with them, or you might have conducted some collaborative meeting with them. So it is an instantaneous or a temporary collaboration. It will not work. You have to go for a long-term MOU with these organizations. That is the strongest linkage. So one of the examples I will say that the CDCRI recently we have signed an MOU with the College of because we are implementing a Northeastern Hill program in 2 states now, in Tripura as well as in Arunachal Pradesh. And we are sitting here and we have a collaborator there. Though we put them as a co-PA in our project, this is one of the innovations what we have done it. We put those collaborators as a co-PA in the project. Second one is what innovation, what we have done it. We signed an MOU with them for a period of 5 years. It is not an MOU for transferring the money. It is an MOU which is not talking about any financial transaction. In a long term, how CTCRI and CIE is going to collaborate for a, because any kind of intervention needs a follow-up. A project may be 3 years or 5 years, but what is going to happen after 5 years is more important. So you have to, this is one of the strongest linkage where we can make it. Even if you want to collaborate with the KVK, you make a document, you put them in some as a collaborate, as a co-PI, or you try to develop an MOU with the KVKs, and so that they will be more committed. Otherwise, you just send a letter to them, I want to conduct a program. Okay, we are agreeing. You go there, you spend 5 hours there, conduct a program, and come back. You will simply say that I made a collaboration and linkage with the KVK. That is not the real thing. So this is an outcome of this research work. How strong you can make a stakeholder network who will be more important and influential. So there are 2 more papers. It was one paper was published in PLOS 1, effect of multi-stakeholder platform on multi-stakeholder innovation networks, implications for research, for development intervention, targeting the innovation at scale. So this is one paper published in PLOS 1, and another one paper published in the agricultural systems. This is a review paper, the fruits of knowledge co-creation in agriculture and food related multi-stakeholder platforms in sub-Saharan Africa, a systematic review. So this is a systematic review. I think many of you might have heard about it. Systematic review is one of the very important research methodology. But unfortunately, in India or in any developing countries, we cannot do it because we have a limited access to the databases. Systematic review will be done using the databases. So you have to go, you have to find out, you have to identify a research question for a systematic review, and you have to identify the keywords for the systematic review, and you have to search it. You have to see that how many number of search results are coming. You have to download the relevant papers. You have to read those papers. You have to do the qualitative content analysis and later to the thematic analysis. And you have to make a generalization about a particular aspect. This is one of the aspects in the systematic review. The second one is facilitating access to the credit. There was another paper published in World Development, which is also a high impact factor journal. So they want to know the impact of microcredit on the agricultural technology adoption. Okay, what they have done it, they have given a microcredit, and especially for fertilizer, purchase of the chemical fertilizers in rice production. So they have done randomized control trial. This is also another emerging methodology to estimate the intention to treat effect as well as the local average treatment effect for the microcredit by using the treatment status as an instrument variable. It is basically an econometric kind of analysis. So what they have done at the result is they identified credit does not increase the fertilizer use by the people who have better access to the irrigation water, because they already applied the sufficient amount of fertilizer near to the recommended level through fertigation. Okay, so you can see it is basically a kind of extraneous variable. So they have offered the credit to a farmer, and their duty is to see that whether the credit provision is increasing the fertilizer use. But they did not see that. They did not see that there are the farmer who are having a irrigation facility who don't have irrigation facility. The people who has a irrigation facility, they have a very easy thing, like you can save the labor. You can mix the chemical fertilizer in irrigation water, you do the fertigation. Okay, that means that you need a standard level of quantity required for the through the fertigation. But the people who don't have access to the irrigation, they increase the quantity of fertilizer applied. And again, in the second one, you see credit increases the fertilizer use by those who have a limited access to the irrigation water and have used previously little fertilizer. That means that even when you are making a treatment of microcredit, for how the microcredit is increasing the adoption of the fertilizer use in rice cultivation, there are some things which are affecting your result. Though that things is like irrigation, non-irrigation, and rain-fed conditions. So when you are looking at this kind of situation, even though you are giving a credit, it will not be useful for the farmers when they are having the irrigation. So that means that it is coming out with some kind of policy implication. That means that you have to provide the access to the microcredit, especially for the fertilizers, only to the persons who don't have the irrigation facility. So you make a policy change at the bank level or the cooperative society level or credit organization level in such a way that you will be giving more money for the people who don't have the access to the irrigation. That means that who go for rain-fed cultivation, and there is no credit permission for purchasing fertilizer for the people who are having the irrigation facility. So this is a policy implication which you are getting it through the applying some kind of randomized control trial. And the third one is we talked about scaling up. I already explained scaling up is nothing but replicating the sustainable model developed at one particular kind of system to similar system elsewhere. So that satisfies the basic fundamental requirement in extension is you have to develop the replicable model. So we have developed so many field intervention model and very few are replicable. And again, if you want to see the replicability of the model, we will be going into another direction. What things are required to increase the replicability of the model is you have to go for a system perspective that I will be telling little later. Now the point is to scale up this particular intervention to a similar area, they are using ICT, especially the satellite imaging. So what they do is they use the satellite imaging to take the similar agroclimatic zones. Like today, one IKS intervention, and they successfully did this field intervention. Farmer income is doubled, and many stakeholders are very happy. Very model. This will has to be replicated. So first you look into what kind of agro ecosystem the same model was applied. So similar identify imaging and identify the socio-economic and other cultural characteristics of the farmer. You have to develop an index. Means like the successful farmer is defined by these characteristics. Okay. So your index, that index will be used to identify similar patterns elsewhere. So for that, you will be going for a kind of principal component analysis, multivariate regression. Trees also will be going for it. And through spatial imaging, when you want to identify the similar agroecosystem, you will be going for a similarity analysis. There is a technique. Whoever knows the GIS related things, they understand what is the meaning of the similarity analysis. So what type of data will be collected? You will be collecting biophysical data, you will be collecting edaphic data, soil data, you will be collecting climate data, you will be collecting socioeconomic data, population density, population living below the poverty line, women of childbearing age, all the data you will be collecting, you will be putting into the model here. And then based on this model, you will be identifying an index. And again, you will be using this index, you will be collecting the data in this area. There you will be going for a propensity score matching. So else you will be getting a cutoff for the index. Whoever is getting more than the index value, they will. That means that this particular area is more suitable for replicating the same extension field intervention there. So there are many papers published in this area. One of the paper was published in Land Use Policy in 2017, Sustainable Recommendation Domains for Scaling Up Agricultural Technologies in Tanzania. So this is one paper which was published. I just explained what is the methodologies they used it. And another one is like what we are doing, what we have done as a part of our nutrition sensitive extension and intervention in northeastern state. So we are implementing a program called Rainbow Diet Campaign in the northeastern states in CTCRI. So we have developed some biofortified varieties like a sweet potato, orange colored sweet potato, orange flushed sweet potato, and purple flushed sweet potato. So orange flushed sweet potato is having a beta carotene content that will be sufficient to eradicate the your vitamin E deficiency in 3 months. If you consume 100 grams of orange flushed sweet potato boiled form daily, so 3 months you will be eradicating the vitamin E deficiency, especially the bitter spots. Bitter spots and night blindness will be removed. So it's a natural way of addressing the malnutrition. And again, we have a purple flushed sweet potato that is having a high anthocyanin content. So if you consume it, it is an antioxidant. Anthocyanin is an antioxidant. A research conducted at CTCRI, it has proved that it is very effective against the colon cancer. So that means that when you are telling some nutritional claims, if you don't have a proper research data, you cannot do it. So we are now confidently promoting these two varieties because we have conducted research in our institute. We proved that this is going to eradicate the vitamin A deficiency as well as it is anti-cancer properties. Okay, so now the point is we have the planting material of the orange flushed sweet potato varieties. We released around 5 orange flushed sweet potato varieties and 1 purple flushed sweet potato variety. Now you have to scale up. Scale up means you have to take the varieties to the people who are actually suffering from the nutrition deficiency. Especially our target is vitamin A deficiency. So how will you do it? Because it's a research institution situated in Trivandrum. We cannot simply produce a large scale planting material. You need so much of money. And again, you make everywhere. You cannot simply go and spread this information. You have to give planting material. You cannot simply give planting material everywhere because your target is means it has to eradicate the vitamin A deficiency to the needy people. For that, we developed an index called the sweet potato biofortification priority index. So it's basically a prioritization index. It is customized by, we have taken the index developed by Harvest Plus. So Harvest Plus, what they did it, they want to identify the countries where they will get the intervention. But what we have done it, we customize the index to identify the state where you have to go and promote the biofortified varieties. So we have taken the data of per capita consumption of sweet potato. We have taken the data of production of the sweet potato. We have taken the data of malnutrition status and other micronutrient related information. And we customize the formula developed by the Harvest Plus, and so that you will be getting the result. That result will help us to identify the priority state where you have to promote the varieties. You should not promote a lower priority state. You should be in high priority state. The priority was identified through per capita consumption, production of sweet potato in the state, and vitamin A deficiency state. So we have created that index. Using that index, we have identified Odisha, Mizoram, Mali, priority states where you have to promote the biofortified sweet potato varieties, especially which are rich in the vitamin A deficiency. So that means that we don't have to promote these things in Kerala or Tamil Nadu. It is not required because there it is not a priority state. So any program, somebody, if you want to make an extension program, intervention program for these varieties, you have to do only in the top seven, not in the 8 to 15. So that means that how much money, the money invested by the policymaker in promoting these varieties is now justified, it is optimized. So this is one of the beauty of this outcome of this research work we published in the current science recently. In the last few months back, we published this priority index. Okay, and again, one more example I will say from our side, though I don't have a slide. So we are now promoting, when you are promoting this orange flushed sweet potato variety and to a group of people who have not seen this particular variety. So it's a big challenge. Like when you are showing this orange plus variety, especially in the tribal, nowadays we are implementing in Arunachal Pradesh, and Meghalaya we are doing, and Odisha we are doing, and part of Tripura we are doing now as a pilot project. So we identified that the children don't like this sweet potato. And again, the color sweet potato, people are very difficult. They are not having any intention to consume it. So what we did, we conducted some road shows. Road shows means actually we took the college students, we took the school students in the road. We have created a consumer awareness about these varieties in Arunachal Pradesh and as well as in Meghalaya, in Tura, we have created it. And again, we also tested this, we did the sensory evaluation of these varieties with these children. So again, our target for children is, we identified that the children are not consuming it. So what we did it, we converted these varieties into value-added products. We converted this into pasta. We converted this into noodles, and then we have taken this pasta and noodles. We did the sensory evaluation with the children in the tribal areas, we used a different kind of methodology. Like we used paired comparison method, but we used a slightly advanced paired comparison method, which is not there in Edwards' book, a recent development. So there are 3 recent developments in paired comparison methods. So I don't remember that name because I have not prepared that. So there are that methodologies are much more different from what is given in the Edwards book or in GL Ray's book. So they are the recent developments. So that we are using it. So far we have not completed. So how we will do the sensory evaluation is 3 kind of samples will be given. One is orange plus sweet potato boiled one. Another one is a purple plus sweet potato boiled one, and another normal sweet potato which they are consuming it. Okay, so 3 will be given at 3 different forms. First one 1 2 2 3 1 3 means the first one is white color, second one is orange color. We give white and orange together. We ask which is the best, and again we give orange and purple. We ask which is the best, and again we give 1 and 3 and we ask which is the best. And finally, after 15 numbers, we reverse it. We make 2 1, 3 2, and 3 1. So the reverse order, when we are going for a reverse order, it actually minimizes the bias. And this data you have to analyze through the Probit model. And there is some other utility calculation methods are there. The result will give you like between these two, which is the better one. So it will give the utility. It will actually calculate the utility values. So when you are giving these 2 varieties, which is the better one. So, and we also collected a lot of qualitative data from the people that why you are saying that this is the good variety, this is not a good variety. Normally in traditional sensory evaluation, we ask that if the color is good, we take the 11-point scale, Tonic scale. Like whether the color, what is the rating of color, what is the rating for taste, what is the rating for sponginess, what is the rating for sweetness. We used to do it, but this time you are not using any rating scale, because for children you have to go for which is the better one, and you ask why it is the better one. So like that we have done, but so far we have not reached that. It's also one of the areas where you can conduct research on nutrition sensitive extension. So this is about this is all about the slides. Like I'm going to do things which are more related to the scale development, because there is a lot of queries are coming on how to make the scale development, good scale development. I'll share one more. So are you getting this PPT?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So this is what the focus of our extension, especially when we talk about scale development, to understand how the farmers are making a decision. That is very important. So in scales, we used to develop a scale for getting the farmers' opinion or farmers' preferences, or farmers like quantify the some kind of outcome, like women empowerment or farmers' resilience patterns, climate resilience capacities, or farmers' innovativeness, or we take several things. But ultimately, like when you make a scale, scale is not the final thing. We are actually trying to document, trying to analyze the farmer's decision making process. So whatever the in the outcome, whatever the interest, what kind of researches what we do in extension is, we are looking into farmer's decision. One of the farmer's decision is the adoption. So ultimately, there are many studies which are conducted and many indexes are developed, many coefficients were developed to measure how to make the adoption, how to measure the adoption of the technology. Another one is women empowerment. We talk about, we develop a composite scales for measuring the empowerment. And we also develop some kind of scale to measure the perception of the farmers towards some variety or towards some program, or again, we also develop some scale to measure the level of participation of the people. We also develop some kind of scale for innovativeness of the farmer, entrepreneurial behavior, like entrepreneurship intention. So everything is ultimately a kind of a farmer's decision, or else either it is a farmer's decision or it is an outcome of a farmer's decision. Adoption of a technology is a farmer's decision. Impact is the outcome of farmer's decision. And purchase of inputs, like a farmer's purchase behavior for purchasing inputs, farmers marketing behavior for marketing the produce. So they are all a kind of farmer's decision. The outcome of the purchase behavior or outcome of the marketing behavior is increasing the income. That is an outcome. And farm diversification decisions, farmer make lot of decision about what kind of farm diversification I will make, especially the integrated system. Farmer always make decision about what kind of variety I am going to use it, or farmers always make what kind of breed I am going to buy it. And everything what we do in extension research, everything is about farmers decision. And we are looking at the farmers decision as well as the result of the farmers decision. Okay. So when we are measuring the farmer's decision as well as result of the farmer's decision, there are several factors which are actually influencing the farmer's decision. One of the classic factor we always use is a cognitive, affective, and behavior process. That is, we call it as a personal characteristics, demographic characteristics of the farmers. We generally use in a scientific orientation, management orientation, and then several others, like extension contact, communication behavior, or information seeking behavior. So many things we also is put in the adoption model or impact assessment model to see that, do some regression analysis to see that what is the effect of those independent variable on the dependent variable. But in reality, farmer's decision is not a one-time decision. Farmer make a decision only after a certain period of time. When you are exposing some technology to the farmer, when you are introducing some variety to the farmer, he is not going to adopt it immediately. So you go as a KVK or a university, you are going and doing some FLD. So the basic fundamental thing behind the FLD is you have to conduct FLD in a common place, in a larger area, which is enough for the people who are passing by can watch it. This is the original concept of front national demonstration. Basically, it is an FLD, but later stages, the FLD concept is contrived. And finally, nowadays, the FLD is being done in all homestead of the farmers. So there are many programs. FLD is being laid out in the backside of the farmer's house. That is not correct. FLD has to be laid out in a larger area so that other people can watch it. Why we are focusing on putting the FLD in a prominent place? Because all the adoption or technology diffusion is triggered by the imitation process. So when a farmer is seeing something is happening in the field, FLD, he is seeing like, okay, this FLD is giving a very good result. Okay, this spray, the extension agency has done it. It is giving very good result in terms of killing the pest. So he is adopting it. Okay, seeing is believing. I am adopting it. And again, he is also seeing that a neighboring farmer or other farmer in the village has adopted the technology and got a good money. So ultimately, the adoption is not driven by the need of the farmer. It is driven by the process of imitation. That is why we talk about the Gabriel D. Tarde's theory of imitation, which is only information for our extension, but it is a background behind complete adoption theories are built based on the like a conventional adoption theories or diffusion theories are based on the theory of imitation. Okay, so when the theory of imitation is applied, a farmer is not going to make the decision immediately. So we read about the Rogers diffusion theory, and there are a lot of researchers conducted on the Rogers diffusion theory, especially on technology attributes, applying the technology attributes, especially on the adoption, different levels of adoption, partial adoption, non-adoption, or complete adoption. But we forgot the very important component what Rogers told about adoption. So when you want to do research, we talked about there are many papers published in the recent times, adopter categories. innovators, late majority, early majority. So early majority will adopt the innovation only by imitation, by looking at the innovator, and late majority will looking at the previous stage. So the imitation is a primary process which actually goes into adoption. Okay, now the point is what we missed out from the Rogers theory. If you want to model the adoption, you should not model the adopter categories, or you should model innovation decision process. That is a primary aspect which drives the adoption. Okay, knowledge, persuasion, or practice, or KPDIC, decision and trial and adoption. And some other things are there in learning process, EITA process, awareness, interest, trial and adoption. So that is the main thing where you have to do the adoption. The adoption theories which are developed in marketing. So marketing field has so many adoption theories, and they have developed very advanced adoption models. They use the word technology acceptance. So all their adoption is based on the marketing. They are based on innovation decision process. They are not based on some kind of using in agriculture. So what is the problem with our probit and logic model is they don't see the time dimension. See what happens in a farmer's field. I think many of you are already doing a lot of field level programs. When you are introducing some new variety to the farmer's field through FLD, normally now the varieties are introduced during the YFT also, but in FLD when you are doing it, when a new variety is introduced or when a new technology is introduced, so only in the beginning some people will adopt it. So naturally they are the innovators. But some people have not decided whether to adopt it or not. But before making a decision, they are going through several stages. When somebody is seeing the FLD, he is getting awareness. First one is he is getting aware that there is a variety is available. So when he is aware of the variety is available and he is seeing that the farmer or FLD is giving some good yield or good pest control, then he will get more information about the technology, about a variety. So that means that he is going into the knowledge stage. So even in that stage, the farmer has not decided whether I will go for adoption or not. Then some farmers will go for evaluation. That evaluation will be the mental evaluation or the evaluation in the field. They will take up some variety, like a small quantity of variety. They will do some trial in their farm, because adoption is not going to happen in the first year by 100%. It will be going in the 5%, 10% or 30% like this. Then when the trial, he is convinced, in the trial level, he will be applying the technology attributes, relative advantage, compatibility, complexity. No, the evaluation and trial phase, he is going to apply the things. And finally, he decides to adopt it. That is called intention to adopt it. We are telling it as a symbolic adoption. But between symbolic adoption and actual adoption, there are so many things are happening. For example, you talk about a variety. So variety, you need seed. You need the planting material. So you decided to use this particular variety, but the material or seed is not available. You decide to apply biopesticide. Okay, you want the biopesticide to be applied. You made the decision that I am going to use the biopesticide for the whole area which I am going to do it. But the biopesticide is not available, or even if it is available, it is very expensive, because most of the biopesticides are double rate than the normal conventional inorganic pesticides. So there are several things are happening between the symbolic adoption and the actual adoption. Okay, but if you want to model the behavior of the farmers, normally what we do is we are actually going at the end, like adopted or non-adopted. So we are putting the variables, different variables into the model, like whether you go for a logistic distribution or a logic model or probit model or variations of the probit model or ordered probit or multinomial logic based on the data quality. Okay, but what happens when you are applying this model means it's a linear process. It is not taking into the dimension. It is not taking into the time lapse between the awareness and knowledge. It is not taking the time lapse between the knowledge and the attitude. Sorry, I forgot. Before farmers making a decision, he develops a favorable attitude towards the technology. So first thing is awareness. Second thing is knowledge. Third one is attitude. Finally, attitude is converted into the behavior intention to use the technology, and finally using the technology. In marketing management, they actually model the human behavior up to the symbolic adoption. Most of the theories, especially socio-psychological theory of plant behavior and the different variations of the theory of plant behavior. So they are applying most of these theories are customized towards the agricultural field. Okay. So there, what is happening? They are inputting different factors, external factors, cognitive and affective factors, behavioral factors, and the farmer's decision, and they are putting arrow in between. So this is one example of theory of technology acceptance model applied for intention to use the biopesticide. This is the paper given Journal of Environmental Management, published in 2019, modeling farmers' intention to use the pesticide, an expanded version of the theory of plant behavior. Okay, so here you can see attitudes are there, knowledge is there, moral norms are there, intention is there, perceived behavior control is there, subjective norms are there. These are the different constructs which are part of this particular model. Okay, so the beauty of this model is it is showing something at the beginning and something it is going via something. Sometimes it also directly affect. So it is actually measuring the direct influence of some variable on the intention as well as the indirect influence, because once you are developing a good knowledge about a particular practice, you will develop a favorable attitude. So favorable attitude is determining the intention. Okay, so that means that it is actually considering the innovation decision process, though it is not taking the time lapse, but it is taking the sequence from which is the first one and which is the last one. So there you can measure the direct effect of the particular variable as well as the indirect effect of the particular variable, and you will also know that which is the first variable, which is the second variable, which is the third variable, which is not there in your limited variable dependent models, which we are using commonly, logit, probit, and tobit. Okay, so but in reality, the difference between this model and that model is this is more realistic than the model which you are going to use it. For doing this kind of models, you have to know about the advanced modeling techniques. Either you go for structural equation modeling, or you can go for any kind of, even you can do simple path analysis. Even you can do multiple paths are there. You can go for a simple path analysis, or you can go for a advanced like a structural equation modeling. So the advantage of this model is once you are going for this kind of behavioral model, you just think about you are going to make an intervention in which initially conducting the baseline survey. Based on baseline survey, you are deciding the treatments or the technology to be promoted in the particular village, and then you are developing some farmers group to identify the technologies, and then finally you are giving technologies to them. You are also providing some kind of subsidy or some kind of benefits to the farmers, especially in programs like NEH program, TSP program, or SCSP program. We can give a provision of providing some implements or inputs to the farmers. It is basically a green revolution pathway. Okay, so and then finally farmers are convinced and they are adopting your technology. So first year or second year you made some FLDs. From third or fourth year onwards, you will be measuring how the technology is spread, the particular variety is spread to the other villages. So actually, you are in this model, you can apply in the field intervention. This model can be very easily applied in the field intervention. Actually, this model will help you to increase the replicability of your field intervention rather than simply developing some kind of like some discontinuous research, like and taking up some adoption. And I also want to tell one more thing about adoption is like a package of practice. So what we used to do is when we are measuring adoption of the package of practices, we go for a adoption coefficient or we go for a Tobit model. Okay, so there we look into where first one is variety. Agrotechnics means variety. Second one is fertilizer application, pesticide application, IPM management, and then storage of. So all these package of practices which is recommended for a particular variety, we are taking the adoption individually. That is not the right way of doing it. Why? Because when a package of practice is developed for a particular variety, when a new variety is being released, when a package of practice a research institution is giving, only when you apply the whole package of practices, the required yield will come. Otherwise, you are not going to get the required yield. But ultimately, what is happening in a practical way, you are simply taking up the variety, you are giving to the farmer, and the farmer is not changing his agro techniques. He is following the same package of practices. Unless and until you give some kind of inputs to them, they will change. Okay, this is a part of the agro technique. Okay, I will be putting this, but all the package of practices, he is not going to adopt it. So that means that what is the result you are getting, the adoption result, what you are getting out of the individually collecting the data, you are not going to get the real outcome if you are missing some areas. So that means that when you are making a impact assessment for a particular package of practice, you have to take everything together. You should not split into different practices. It will be misleading in terms of its original concept. I'm not talking in terms of the equations or calculations. I am telling you are contradicting the original the philosophy behind developing the agro techniques. Suppose in some cases, like in recent times, variety is going for a multi-location trials. Okay, then if it is going for a multi-location trial, somebody may argue that in OFT, it is farmers criteria. We identified these varieties in OFT, so there is no need to follow all the agro techniques. Only some agro techniques can be done. But even in OFT, when you are looking at the yield as a criteria for impact, especially in the case of impact assessment, because you are going to calculate the yield, convert this yield into the market price and get the value. So that means that when you are not following the exact practice, the recommended practice, if you are using the OFT, you might have standardized some practice. You have to take this as a criteria, not as a criteria which is originally recommended by the particular university, or sometimes we always take the package of practice recommended by my institute, or package of practice recommended by the university or the state government, but normally university is the one which decides practice. You have to take the practice which is followed in OFT. When you are arguing that this particular thing can be done, but by breaking up, you have to take the package of practice followed in OFT, not in the common package of practices. So there are a lot of practical complications are there when you are going for adoption modeling, and these are the few complications which I am telling from my experience. So here you can see like this is basically a model which you can develop a theory. So here we talk about domain. Like a domain is small farmer means a small farmer. Like a domain is based on your thesis topic or a topic of your research. So small farmer, rice farmer living in some Rangareddy district of Telangana state. So you should not take any farmer beyond these limits. And the concepts and constructs are basically what we do is nowadays there are recently the papers are coming. Many constructs which we are considering as universal, they are contextualized. So one is women empowerment, and another one is entrepreneurship intention. Entrepreneurship intention is not a universal construct, it is a contextualized construct. For example, I am saying as a part of AC and ABC, I have conducted the entrepreneurship intention of the people in different states. Okay, so one state, then I identified in Maharashtra entrepreneurship, that personality. There is a concept called entrepreneurship personality. The people who are scoring very high in entrepreneurship personality in Maharashtra, but it is not the case in Kerala, but it is not the case in Tamil Nadu, it is not the case in Odisha. Okay, so that means that when you are applying the same model in the entrepreneurship development model in all the people at the same time, because the Maharashtra people are culturally defined, their entrepreneurship intention, their entrepreneurship personality is culturally defined, and it is also defined based on the caste. Okay, so what this is the problem which is happening. You have to consider the which are the extraneous factors which are going to affect your yield or something. So that means you have to this kind of extraneous factors which is going to affect your yield, which is going to affect your entrepreneurship intention. You have to identify first through the qualitative study. Before developing any scale, you have to go there, you have to conduct the focus group discussion, you have to introduce the concept of entrepreneurship intention. You ask, what do you mean by entrepreneurship intention? Okay, so the question given by the people in Maharashtra will be much more different from the answer given by Maharashtra people will be much more different from the answer given by the Tamil Nadu people. the answer given by the Kerala people will be much more different. So if you use a universal model, both in Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu and Kerala, your results will be the extraneous. That's why before developing any scale, you have to do the qualitative study. From the qualitative study, you can identify what are all the factors which are responsible for the particular phenomena. And once you are identifying the factors, you give it the factors to the judges who has got a very good expertise in that area. I will say that if you are doing a research on some aspect, you have to select the judges who published a minimum of 10 research paper in the particular area. Okay, so this is what which is happening, and you have to identify the variables which are taken from the qualitative study, and you do the expert thing, and you have to put these things into a different model, into a model which is already established. You have to see components of the petrol. So this is what for this you kind of a multi-dimensional scale. So this is one aspect about sharing. With this, I will close my presentation. Before closing, I'll say that we have to have some kind of expertise for conducting this kind of research, which is may or may not be available now. One expertise is we have to look into the multidimensional perspective in a real phenomenon. That is one expertise we need to develop, and we need to develop some kind of multivariate analytical techniques, both the computational modeling. So, and also we should be able to collaborate. You should be able to collaborate with the different agencies to get pool their effects you will be getting a good research outcome. So with this, I'll close my presentation, and I am just requesting, please give me a break for 2 minutes. I'll join back because I have to take some water. Okay, I'll just join back in 2 minutes for the interaction. Sir.
Okay, sir. Sure. No problem, sir. No problem. Is in data centers. You are doing all new FLDs, OFDs, how to analyze the data and all. So you can just gear up and be ready with some questions.
Students, please keep ready your questions. If any questions are there, you can ask, sir. This is a good opportunity for you to get the clarifications for your questions.
Sir, good evening, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Thank you for giving the opportunity to listen to this extensive and excellent presentation by Sir Seturaman Shivakumar, sir. So I am Dr. K. Sirisha from Agriculture College, Ashropet, sir, Assistant Professor. I have a small doubt regarding our PG and PhD research outcomes of our extension studies. So whether are these going to the policy making, or are the outcomes are reaching to that extent, sir?
So this you are talking about the impact of our research.
Yes, sir. Impact of our research or research outcomes, what we are finding recommendations.
No, one thing is like it all depends upon the university policy.
Yes, yes.
Because I have seen in Kerala Agriculture University, the university is asking the results of the student PhD work or MSc work, and if anything very significant, that has to be communicated to the university. There is a policy. So,
Yes, sir.
and most of the paper research work conducted at the university, which is actually based on university programs and state government programs. So, and many papers, many things which I reviewed, like as an external evaluator, MSc and PhD, I found that many of them are focusing on the current programs and they are identifying very critical aspect in the implementation of the particular program. So it all depends upon how the your university, what is the policy of the university.
Okay, sir.
But in a research institutions, we are giving regular feedback at our review meetings and others.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sirisha,
Good evening, sir.
one minute. I would like to just add to Sirisha's query.
Madam, ma'am.
Yeah, Sirisha, as you have asked with regard to the policy advocacy of PG and PhD research, I
Yes.
think for the past 3-4 years, even in our university, regularly the PG PhD research outcomes are being requested by the university, and the university is also insisting while selecting the problem area, you need to focus upon state relevant needs and with regard to the programs that are going on. So this process is on already in the university also. So while selecting the problems to your students, then you have to focus in consultation with the department and in consultation with the university. Take the thirst areas are also circulated every year. So consider them for the research.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Good
Yeah,
evening, sir.
yeah.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. This is Dr. Preeti, professor from Extension Education Institute.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for a very informative lecture. I have a small clarification. Sir, as you have specified the change in focus of extension, in tune with that, we have proposed an action research in nutri-sensitive extension, like we want to establish a nutri-sensitive village in one of the districts of Telangana with severe malnutrition. My question here is, we have proposed for purposeful sampling, wherein we wanted to select the big farmers, small farmers, and marginal farmers in equal number. But then another thought which we just acquired is, should we go in for proportionate random sampling, or should we stick to the purposeful sampling?
So nutritional intervention, you have to first of all devise inclusion and exclusion criteria.
Yeah.
So to whom
Yes.
you are targeting. Suppose if you are having a inclusion and exclusion criteria, if the people are only the people you can following that particular who are like I said about the prioritization exercise, no. So
Yes.
that exercise scientifically identified some areas where you can implement it. So you have to develop some kind of a methodology or some criteria where you will be selecting the people, because you don't have to implement a nutritional garden everywhere. No, it is trying to alleviate the deficiency. Wherever the deficiency is high, only in those places you can select it.
Okay, so we need to get a priority index done in the village,
Yes.
sir, to whom we have to select.
Yeah, you have to do it. You can use secondary data also.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Is it probably based on the vulnerability of the malnutrition?
Yes.
Based on the malnutrition index. Hello?
Yeah, please.
Shall we follow the malnutrition index available in that locality?
So that about our paper.
In order to select the sample for the
Okay.
action research on creating the nutrition-sensitive village. So, can we resort for this malnutrition index? First of
Okay.
all, develop an index. We will be knowing the intensity of malnutrition existing.
Okay.
village as well as among the different households in the selected
Okay.
village. Accordingly, I think it is better to, as you have really rightly developed an index, sweet potato, prioritize the index.
Sir,
This is
one
the
way
way.
is there are comprehensive national nutrition survey reports published for all states. In 2018, the reports are already available in open access. So what you can do is you can download the report like for the particular state, and maybe you can get this district-wise data, because district-wise data is not available. You can contact the concerned department and you can get the district-wide data. From the district-wide data, you can select the samples, because there are micronutrient deficiencies. Districts are already identified. It must be there with Anganwadis, like a social welfare department. From there, you can select the secondary data. You can do it, and you can select the villages by doing some nutritional survey. You can do 24-hour recall method, consumption survey. You can do consumption survey, because malnutrition index you cannot do it. We need ethical committee approval. Like you cannot simply draw the blood of the people, no, like a stunting and other things. We need at least a home scientist or somebody community nutrition specialist. Otherwise, if you have the specialist in your team, it is easy. They will do it. The malnutrition assessment.
And
Sir,
one
we are
more,
proposing the same thing. Actually, we have proposed in our proposal the same thing.
Preeti, even our university did food consumption survey across the
Okay.
state 2-3 years
Yes,
because
yes,
you
ma'am.
have the data. So you can
Okay.
collect that information also and use it.
Okay,
Okay.
ma'am. Thank you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
So I'm Shubham Soni from ICR CIFE. Am I
Okay.
audible?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
So I'm a first year PhD student. I recently mastered. So my question to you about the purple and the other colors, so sweet potato is.
Okay.
Sir, I have learned that you have used sensory evaluation for its evaluation in the children. So I just want to know
Okay.
what were the like the attributes you used, and did you face any difficulties while conducting the experiment on the children?
Okay, sensory evaluation. We earlier we used to take sensory attributes like appearance, color, taste, and then sponginess. And there are some standard sensory attributes are there for in a different form. Like if you are using the boiled sweet potato, there is a different attributes are there. If you are using some kind of baked sweet potato, different attributes are there. You will be getting those attributes from standard reports. Like one standard is ISO standard and another one is the ASTM standard. So if you want to publish international paper, you have to use either any one of these method. From there, you have to follow. And this time, what we have done, we have not used the standard, because from our experience, we identified that it is not the children. When you are doing with children, individual attributes will not work. So that again, illiterate people who are from the tribal area. So you are for that, what you have to do is you go for a paired comparison technique. You ask them why they like this particular variety, and then from there, using the qualitative data, you will be able to interpret the preference structure. And again, there are two things are there: with information and without information. Without giving any information about nutritional qualities, then nutritional benefits, what is a liking, preference. After giving the information, what is a preference? That also you can do with or with information condition. That is a basically an experimental design.
Oh, okay, sir. Thank you. That was insightful, sir.
I think staff from KVKs and data centers who are there, please have some queries, because you have also proposed some studies. Is it not?
I request all the participants, please switch on your videos. We will take one online snapshot. I request all please switch on your videos. Still, Rajgaru, okay.
I think Sethraman sir has some network problem. Video is not coming.
Video is not coming.
No, you
Yes,
are not
sir.
seen, sir. You are not seen. Please try to.
Okay, let me just
Yeah.
stop it and again.
Soni, are you there? Shubham Soni. You are very active participant, probably one of the good active participants, right?
Yes.
Others, please.
Are you getting this video?
No, no, sir, not yet.
Oh, okay. Now?
No, sir. Can once you please leave and join again, sir.
Okay.
Serve the purpose, I think.
Yes, sir. Now we can see.
Yeah. Rajgar, is it okay?
Yes, sir. 1 minute. 2 minutes.
Shivakumar Naidu, you are not seen.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Shivakumar, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sir. So I have one small doubt, sir, which are lingering for a long time in my mind. So most of the time we deal with the behavior of the farmers in eliciting the responses. So whatsoever may be the experimental research design we apply, still there is a margin of error in getting the real core information from the farmer. So probably those are all called sometimes contrived responses.
Yeah.
A shadow, something is giving a effect. So once we don't get the real response from the farmer, probably all our efforts at later stages are going to be skewed, are going to give the skewed results. So then how we can filter that mechanism of getting the quality, reliable and accurate responses from the farmers by applying the simple experimental or some methodology.
So one aspect is you have to initially do like a qualitative study to understand the farmer's perspective about your particular construct. Second one is you have to go for a pre-testing and even content validity, face validity assessment. If it is done properly, then there will not be any issue. And again, third one is the way you are collecting data. We are collecting the data. There's an external influence. So if external influence are there, there will be some distortion, some bias or error will be there in the data. And questions. So this is very important, the statement. So we have to identify a right way of framing the questions. If it is not understood properly, then there is a chance.
Definitely. And the second one is, sir, which research design is more apt for action research?
Sir, action research itself is a research design.
Yeah.
It is an application component. The action research itself is a mixed method approach, sir.
Okay. Then it's mainly action research is focused to address the local specific issues.
Yes, sir.
Some kind of solution we have to give. And again, we can go for the experimental way of doing the action research or the descriptive way of doing the action research. Is it not possible, sir?
So that depends upon your objective, primary objective of doing research. Like any baseline survey data will be a descriptive method, and anything which you collect at the different time period, it will be either experimental or the survey research. So it's a mixed methods approach. It is not a straight.
So your first answer, what I could sense is, so we have to develop a good measuring instrument, good data collection device, and initially we have to go for the qualitative data, getting a lot of qualitative data.
One trick is there. If anybody gives me the data, then by looking at the data, I will say that you have not collected data properly. I will ask you send your questionnaire first. Your questionnaire is something wrong in your questionnaire.
Yeah.
So there are some techniques are there. We'll
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So we can easily understand the quality of the data based on the way device or measuring instrument is developed or constructed.
Yes, sir.
So we need in this series of webinars, sir, we need one more lecture. As you told, there were some advances in the paired comparison technique, as you rightly told.
Yeah.
And even Likert submitted rating technique also slowly. So we are most of the time we develop the skills by using the Likert submitted rating technique. So we have to resort to some other techniques which are very good at framing the or arriving the statements in the scale, probably to measure the attitude, the basic core of the selected phenomena. So in that also we want one lecture from you.
Okay, sir. Okay.
What I suggest here is, Madhubab Garu, you can have one guest lecture, as you can call sir as adjunct professor for your department, and can think of having for multi-dimensional scaling, as sir was telling, and multivariate analysis. These are the new areas which one is required, because if you want to focus on the social change, not just only on behavioral change of the farmers or the clientele, you need to take the system as a whole. So definitely these things are very, very essential. So you can think of having some 1 or 2 sessions for your PhD students, which is very, very essential. So even our KVK scientists and data scientists also can join. So you can think of one particular session for them. Okay. And sir, Sethraman sir, just to listening to your session, really it was like revisiting the most important things which were very, very strongly stressed by our what you call old scientists like Kerlinger, and then even in adoption diffusion by Rogers also, the social change topic was dealt very nicely. And when we were students, it was taught by Satyanarayana sir. So the entire thing in that, the what you call intended changes, unintended changes, intended factors, factors which can be seen, unseen factors. So how all these things will play a greater role in bringing the social change. So while doing the planned social change, there is some underlying unplanned social change happening in the system.
Yes, sir.
So that's what we need to even consider through our qualitative methods of what you call collecting the information. So really it was very, very what you call refreshing, and then adding to our enriching our knowledge. It was very nice, sir, hearing you. And even under SEP, Jagan Mohan Reddy garu, we can have what we can do is, because sir, even the State Department people are also nowadays they are being involved in what you call in collecting the data and information quickly for their projects as well as for the immediate information. So they are also doing to certain extent a way of extension research they are doing, sir. Not only the extension scientists whom we are talking about. So why don't we have a few sessions exclusively for department extension professionals and extension research professionals like our KVK scientists, DAT scientists, ICR scientists separately on all these issues. If we can address, I think that would be of more use. So in your planning for your future this thing programs, please keep this in mind, because EEI is covering all the southern states and all middle level department officials and from different sectors, agriculture and allied sectors. So we can have one webinar, and for all scientists we can have one more, sir. So I feel that would be of more use. You can just consider these two things.
Okay.
Yeah, ma'am, right. Yeah, rightly told. These are all very domain-specific requirements. And in continuation to that, sir, I think you may accept, we need some data analytics models, sir, in our extension research. Now it is an upcoming area where we generate a lot of data from the field. Especially, I think KVK scientists may accept, those who are working for a long years. They develop a lot of data on FLDs, OFTs, and even data mini kits, but the papers which they are writing are very less in number. They could not able to understand the data analytics involved in bringing in a report form, in a outcome form, which can fit into a high nose rated journal or good journal.
Yeah.
So that is the, I think, could you accept, sir, for that?
Yeah, we'll do, sir. At a convenient time, we'll do, sir. Yeah.
No, that is what chronically missing in our extension. So we are generating data, but the scientists, extension professionals are not understanding. They don't have the kind, what do you call, knowledge, how to put the data in a proper shape of writing the paper. The basic lacunae, I also worked 5 years in KVK, sir. Data analytics is missing. Whereas if you talk about economics people, ready-made templates are there. The one which you have told, logic model, probit model, and different kinds of data analytics. So they have ready-made templates which they can put into that template. They can generate a good paper.
Yes, sir.
Such initiatives are coming now. The people like you. So you have written many papers by using those all data analytics models. But whereas the examples are very less, very less. So how that is the need of the hour, sir. What I understood is just writing percentages, low, medium, high, frequency percentage. The maximum what we are going is linear regression analysis, multi regression, or uh, even path analysis also. We have to refine it much more. Otherwise, we go for such kind of high order data analytics models. So we may not come out with the shrewd results. So for that, we need your help. Probably we may take another 2 guest lectures, as ma'am is rightly told.
Yeah.
In the form of webinars or for students and KVK scientists, KVK data scientists who are working at the field level, where they have plenty of data in their hands. But our agronomy people or entomology or the horticulture scientists people, they are writing many papers. But our extension professionals could not generate that many number of papers, but the data is more with us. That's the problem.
Madam,
They
I
have
would
to
like
listen
to, I would like to leave now because I am getting a call from my director.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Maybe
Thank you.
something more urgent. So thank you, madam, for providing, and sir for providing this opportunity. And maybe we'll have a lot of interaction in the future.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Sure,
Thank you.
sure.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Vasanta, please.
Sir, I request Dr. K. Madhababu sir to propose the vote of thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Vasanta. A very pleasant evening to all of you. So it is very difficult to express one's own feelings in words, but formality demands to do so the extent possible. I feel the inadequacy of the diction to express my heartfelt sincere thanks to Dr. Shivakumar, Seturaman Shivakumar, Principal Scientist, ICR, CTCRI, Tirunanthapuram, Kerala, for the elaborate lecture, including various concepts incorporating in extension research and also in an elaborative manner. So, of course, this will be very useful to the entire fraternity and also to the students. And then I avail this opportunity to express my deep sense of reverence and gratitude to the directors of extension, Professor Jaishankar, Telangana State Agriculture University, and Acharya Yanjiranga Agriculture University, and elderly stalwarts of extension fraternity for gracing this occasion. I am extremely delighted to place on record my sincere thanks for the efforts made by EI faculty and the Faculty Department of Agricultural Extension, College of Agriculture, Rajendra Nagar, scientists of Electronic Wing, AICC, and Directorate of Extension, and also Community Science, Saifabad, Hyderabad. I would like to take this opportunity to express my sincere thanks to all the members of Society of Extension Professionals and the students of PG and PhD students from PJTSAU and also ANJRAU for taking part in the valuable webinar. And it is my pleasure to express my sincere thanks and happiness for the participation of scientists across Pan-India, wise UAS Dharwad, UAS Bangalore, TNAU, Kerala Agriculture University, Acharya Yanjiranga Agriculture University, and also from Bihar, IRA Delhi, Raipur, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, Meghalaya, and also the international participation from Italy, Bangladesh, Nigeria, Nepal, and also Mumbai ICR Institutes of Tripura also. And I would like to express my sincere thanks for the faculty who have joined from Manage Hyderabad. I convey my wholehearted thanks to the Director Atari, June 10, for his help and cooperation. I wish to thank the initiative taken up by Director EI, the General Secretary of SCP, and the committee, and I hope that the future efforts of SEP will be highly fruitful. And any omission in this brief acknowledgement does not mean lack of gratitude. And I would like to thank you one and all for your wonderful participation in this valuable lecture. Thank you one and all.
Thank you so much,
Madhababu
all
sir.
the SCP members. So thank you for your patient listening and also your active interaction. And we will come up with many more such events, and we will publicize them in the WhatsApp group. So whenever the event is announced, kindly participate in that and make the program successful. So on behalf of Extension Education Institute, thank you so much. Thank you for your cooperation.
We will have a record of all the participants of today's presentation, Dr. Vasanta.
We will share the presentation also.
Yes, yes.
Madhababu,
Sir, yes, sir.
మనకు ఒక వర్క్షాప్ 5-day వర్క్షాప్ ఆన్ అడ్వాన్స్డ్ రీసెర్చ్ మెథడ్స్ ఇన్ ఎక్స్టెన్షన్ అని ఒకటి ఉంది.
ఓకే. ఎస్ సార్, ఉంది.
దాంట్లో మనం ఏంటంటే పిహెచ్డిలో కొన్ని కాంపోనెంట్స్ తీసుకొని ఒక 5 ఆ 5 మీద మనం స్పీకర్స్ ని ఐడెంటిఫై చేసి ఆర్గనైజ్ చేయాలని అనుకుంటున్నాం. అది మనం ఇప్పుడు పిహెచ్డికి కూడా ఉపయోగపడుతుంది కదా. అది ఇప్పుడు దాంట్లో ఉన్నది మెటా అనాలిసిస్ అని, క్వాలిటేటివ్ అండ్ క్వాంటిటేటివ్ వేరియబుల్ అనాలిసిస్ అని అట్లా ఉన్నాయి కొన్ని టాపిక్స్. దాంట్లో ఒక 5 తీసుకొని మనం 5-day వర్క్షాప్ అయితే సర్టిఫికెట్ కూడా వ్యాలిడ్ ఉంటుంది కదా. ఓకే, సుధారాణి.
And regarding BSME, sir, actually, few days back, Sir, regarding BSMA, a few days back, I met the manager, Dr. Saravanan and all. Actually, requested them to have a orientation workshop like thing to make all the extension teachers to just get acquainted with the new syllabus. And
దే మే టేక్ దేర్ ఓన్ టైమ్. మనకు నేను ఇప్పుడు ఈ ఫిబ్రవరి ఫస్ట్ వీక్ ఆర్ సెకండ్ వీక్ లో ప్లాన్ చేద్దాం అనుకుంటున్నాను.
ఓకే సార్, ఓకే.
ఎందుకంటే అందరు ఐడిపి మనకు దే హ్యావ్ గివెన్ మనీ ఆల్సో. Honorarium can be paid.
Yes, yes. Okay.
That we make use of for our PhD students or research in general. That will be helpful for all the extensionists working in KVKs, dot centers, teaching professions.
Yes.
Okay.
Sure, sir.
Okay. As per BSMA, it will be useful also for all.
Yes, yes.
Okay. You can conclude. Okay.
Thank you, madam. You are muted. Yeah, thank you, Madhu. I thank all the participants.
Thank you all. Thank you all participants, and congratulations to Director EA and the team for taking initiative once again. We will go ahead with this. SEP team. Okay.
Not the director, not the only one person. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Vijayavardhan sir, for your active participation.
Thank
you, sir. Vijayavardhan sir, thank you for your input, and we will go ahead with that your proposal, sir.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes,
We all together let us go.
Yes.